And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is our Week 8 Power Rankings for the 2025 MLR season. We are right at the halfway point of the season. It has gone by. I know I've said this 100 times, 1,000 times already, but it has gone by like this. It has been an exciting season. I'll be honest, not a lot of change in this week's power rankings, so a little spoiler there. But there is a big change at the top, and something that, little foreshadowing, something that maybe will be a hot take, and I know I might get some slack for it, but hey, I feel it is well deserved, but I will give my reasons as always, and try to be as biased as possible or unbiased as possible. So yeah, if you've never watched my power ranking videos, the way that it works is purely based on what you do on the pitch, who you play against, where you play them against, who you beat, what ranking you are. It is not based on win loss records, who sit on top of the conference tables. It really is about what you do on the pitch, whether or not you are a low ranking team toppling a top ranking team, or if you're a top ranking team defeating a low ranking team. Sometimes those wins don't matter as much as if, again, you are a lower ranking team beating an upper ranker team, and vice versa. So, with that being said, unfortunately, still at the bottom of our rankings. Number 11, Anthem Rugby, Carolina. Another heartbreaker of a loss. Honestly, it is a game where I feel everybody thought Anthem had the chance. Coming up just short once again against Nola Gold, 33-19. The scoreline looks a lot worse than the actual game itself. I'll go into detail as well. But man, yeah, very disappointing loss. Heartbreaking loss again to Anthem Rugby, who are really trying their best this season. Let's get into the game first, and then I'll kind of get my thoughts on it. So, again, this was a game which was very back and forth at the very beginning. A Nola handling layer on a kickoff allowed Toby Fricker, who's been really good for Anthem Rugby, to score a try. Nola does score right back, and at the half, 26-12. So not very far for Anthem, and actually Anthem, by these halftime stats, had the ball 66% of the time. So they actually had more possession of the ball than Nola did. Unfortunately, there were 8 turnovers. So Anthem was actually their own worst enemy, which really cost them in this game. In the second half, despite Nola getting a yellow card, which allowed Anthem to score a try to make the score within 7, it was 26-19. That's as close as Anthem got. A try by Nola at the very end allowed Anthem to walk away with the secure win of 33-19. So again, there was a moment where Anthem was within striking distance and just came up short. Again, I thought that Anthem would at least win 4 games this season. That window is slowly closing as we're getting into the second half of the season. Looking at their schedule, 2 was the original prediction. I do think Anthem does have at least 2 wins under their belt. They still have to face Miami again, who's been floundering quite a bit. But other than that, and they do have to face Nola again. But man, I don't know. It's asking for 4 now is kind of hard. I still think they'll win 2. But it's gonna be tough. It's definitely gonna be tough for Anthem. Very puzzling considering the potential that this Anthem team has. But they sit at number 11. Another team that's been floundering quite a bit. The other new kids of the Eastern Conference, the Miami Sharks, sitting at number 10, suffering another loss this season, losing to possibly a resurging New England Free Jacks, your two-time defending and reigning MLR champions, trouncing Miami 43-6. Now again, an impressive scoreline for New England, 43 points. And of course, we'll go more into that as we talk about New England. But man, Miami has not been looking good after a hot start, kind of a hot start of 2-1 start. They've suffered 3 losses and just haven't been looking good at all. I know that Miami has been suffering a lot of injuries, unfortunately, but man, they have just not. They've had a lot of potential as well to, especially after last season. They kind of was a game or so shy of making the playoffs in their very first season, just coming up short. A lot of potential coming into this season, and it just didn't. It's not happening. I don't know what to say, and Miami is just not looking very good. Again, they didn't score a try in the game. It was only 2 penalty kicks, and New England just trounced them quite well. Am I gonna say New England is back because they've been having a shaky season? We'll talk about when we talk about New England. Moving on, again, another team that's been really floundering this season. Your other two-time Major League Rugby champions, the Seattle Seawolves, falling once again to Old Glory DC, 12-29. I mean, the game, yeah, it wasn't a very good game for Seattle. I've mentioned before where there should be a panic moment. I'm starting to think Seattle now this will be 2-5 for Seattle. I think this is a panic moment now. They are heading into a bye, but it doesn't get any easier after the bye week. They are going to be facing against the Chicago Hounds, who have been pretty damn hot so far this season. I don't know. Head coach Alan Clarkey is a phenomenal coach. He usually has Seattle in shape. Now again, we have seen them surge in the second half of the season, at least actually closer to the last part, the latter half of the second half. So the last 4 games, they're usually on a hot streak. But man, I don't know. Starting off the season 2-5, I don't know if that last second surge will allow them to get into the playoffs. There's definitely something going on in Seattle. Let's talk about the game. Old Glory actually started the game with a yellow card in the first 10 minutes. That allowed Seattle to score. And then, oddly enough, when there was the conversion kick, the T didn't show up. That was probably foreshadowing what was going to happen for the rest of the game. Eddie Fouché had to actually do a drop kick goal, and of course missed it, because if you don't know, drop kick goals are very, very difficult to do. There's a reason why you don't see that in National League football and American soccer, or I'm sorry, American football. You don't see it done very often, if at all. But for whatever reason, the T did not come out for the conversion kick. So, like I said, foreshadowing how the rest of the game was going to go. Seattle just did not look good at all. They looked very lost on the field. The only bright point was that Rickard Hatting, the team captain for Seattle, was able to score his 45th try of his career. Still second place overall with most tries in Major League Rugby history. Of course, right behind, far distance behind from Dylan the Butcher Fawcett, who is just one shy of 60 at 59. But still, congratulations to Rickard Hatting, still continuing to build up that resume of tries scored. But again, 29-12, yeah, just Seattle. Something is definitely wrong with Seattle. Hopefully, during the bye week, they could figure it out and come back guns a-blazing. But like I mentioned before, they got to go against Chicago. Not an easy task to ask of Seattle. At number 8, Nola Gold, as I mentioned before, beating Anthem Rugby Carolina. Again, 33-19, not exactly the most impressive win, so I kind of had them stay at number 8. I didn't feel there was any reason, especially when you beat the lowest ranking team. Scoreline should have probably been bigger, but and this is actually breaking a 4-game or 5-game losing streak for NOLA. So, NOLA hasn't exactly been very hot so far this season. I do have to shout out though Dorian Jones doing very well as their fly half on the pitch. But other than that, not a whole lot to talk about. NOLA doing what NOLA should have done against the lowest ranking team in the league, but not enough and impressive enough to move up any further. At number 7 is the one team that we had a bye this week, which is the Utah Warriors. So because of the bye week, I don't like having a team move up or down regardless of what happens, because they didn't do anything. So moving on now to number 6, and man, kind of a tough loss for the one-time dominant San Diego Legion. They sit at number 6. After a hot start of 5-0, they have dropped now their second match in a row, this time to the Chicago Hounds, 20-27. It was a close game. Yeah, not really much to say about the game. I do have to mention that Lincoln McClutchy always coming in a clutch. He kept San Diego very competitive this game. 4 for 4 off the tee, 10 points total. But it was a very, very tough defensive battle between the two teams, San Diego and Chicago. Easily the match of the week. In the end, at the 70-minute mark, Chicago scores a beautiful try after just an onslaught on the try line, which allows Chicago to take the lead. 3 minutes left in the game. San Diego had the chance to do it as well. They were just pushing and just a relentless assault on the try line for Chicago. But unfortunately, a knock on at the last minute allowed Chicago to hold on 27-20. So there was an opportunity for San Diego to possibly tie the game, but it wasn't meant to be. Big win for Chicago, frustrating loss for San Diego. So they still sit at number 6. They don't move any further down because, again, you're losing to one of the top teams now of the league. We'll see if San Diego is able to muster back what brought them to the game at a 5-0 hot start. But it is pulling a little bit of the steam out of them with 2 straight losses. At number 5, New England, as I mentioned before, with a dominant win over the Miami Sharks, 43-6. Now, again, is this the return of New England to form? I don't know. This has been a shaky season for New England. They are 4-3. I believe maybe the first time that they've been over 500 this season. Miami is not a great team right now, so that scoreline, is high, but I don't think as impressive as it looks. Do have to do a shout out to Paula Bellicana, who scored a hat trick and actually is the 50th hat trick in Major League Rugby history. Of course, those stats like that brought to you by MLR Stats. Great Instagram site. I highly recommend you check it out. James Dealey, who runs the National Rugby Database, narugbydb.com. Highly recommend you check that out if you're a stat head like myself, because that has all the information, not only on Major League Rugby, but he's also compiling information and stats for women's elite rugby. So for North American competitions with rugby, that is the site to go to. MLR Stats is the Instagram page. Really great numbers that he pops up. So Paula Bellicana has a hat trick in the game. I do have to also shout out to Felatoy Penny, who has been phenomenal as a fly half, replacing the injured Jason Poitrov, who unfortunately does not look like he might be coming back this season. We'll see. But he's been suffering with an injury, which could be the reason why New England has been struggling quite a bit. But man, Felatoy Penny has been as big a godsend to New England as D'Angelo Louilai, who has been great for Utah. He had scored 11 points in this game, 5 for 7 off of the tee. He also set up a beautiful try to Jack Reeves at the very end of the game. So yeah, Felatoy Penny is definitely filling in some big shoes to replace Jason Poitrov for New England. Now again, is New England back? It remains to be seen. They have a couple of big games coming up for them in the next couple of weeks. We'll see if New England can kind of build on this momentum, or if the loss of Jason Poitrov might be a little too much for them to handle. Next, we have Old Glory DC sitting at number 4, taking down the Seattle Seawolves, 29-12. Again, Seattle hasn't been looking very hot, so again, it's a great win for Old Glory DC, who has been arguably the surprise of the season for myself. May not be the surprise of the season for a lot of other people, especially Rugby Morning, who, again, I gotta also mention, I did mention this before, and forgive me for this, John from Rugby Morning, we had a bet going on between us when RCLA played against Old Glory. I won the bet. true to his word, the bet was a donation to a charity of our choice. I had John contribute to the Todd Clever Foundation, and he did that. That was really, really awesome of him to do that. There was another portion of the bet. I don't know if he fulfilled it or not. We'll see, but definitely down to possibly do another bet for the rematch when RCLA goes over to Glory. But again, great stand-up guy that John is, that he was willing to donate to a great cause like the Todd Clever Foundation, which if you have never heard of before, the Todd Clever Foundation is all about creating scholarships and opportunities for rugby players throughout the country to grow their craft and get to as high a level as they can in competition as possible. So every donation for that counts. Also helps out programs across the United States with funding them with kits, rugby balls, cleats, all sorts of very important things that clubs at that level need. So yeah, check them out if you can. I'll have the information on Todd Clever Foundation down below. So at number 3, now, okay, let's skip to number 2 first of all. Chicago, as I mentioned before, beating San Diego. A good win, but a very tough win nonetheless. But again, you know, if San Diego was the number 1 team when Chicago beat them, I would have probably moved Chicago over to 1. But because San Diego's now at number 6, San Diego's at number 6, Chicago's at number 2, you know, you're a number 2 beating a number 6. You should be doing that, and you only won by 7. So, didn't warrant enough a move. I do have to make a shout out to Chicago's Chris Hisselbeck, who, again, is another fly half that has come in to replace the departed Luke Carty, who is now with NOLA Gold. And Chris Hisselbeck has been great. He was phenomenal in this game as well. 10 points, 4 for 4 off of the tee. He and Lincoln McClutchy were having a phenomenal kicking competition between the two. Definitely kept Chicago in the game. And Chicago, man, they are now the hottest team in the league. 6-1 with, I believe, the best record right now going into this second half of the season. So, yeah. Now, with that being said, who is number 1? Well, if you paid attention to my power rankings last week, it's not the team that lost. It's the team that beat the team that was number 1. So, Houston SaberCats moved down to number 3. And I know what you're going to say. How could this be possible? But yes, I am giving RFCLA the number 1 slot. First time in their franchise history that they are the number 1. Congratulations, RCLA. But again, I feel very much warranted. It was a tough game. RCLA went into Houston and beat Houston 24-22. Granted, it was a nail-biter, but gotta give both teams a lot of credit. It was a very physical, hard-hitting game. The difference was RCLA, first time in the season, no cards given to them. Houston actually did get a yellow card. Also, too, I have to admit, David Coetzee, phenomenal fly half for Houston, got injured very early in the game, was replaced by AJ Alachimu, who is usually pretty clutch. Unfortunately, was not this day. Granted, it was very windy. Could have played a factor into it. That when you're 1 for 4 off the tee, and especially at the very end, Houston was able to score a try at the very last minute. Had the opportunity to tie up the game, but AJ Alachimu missed the conversion kick, allowing LA to secure the win. Gotta give a shout out to Reese McDonald from the bench. It's only second game back playing on an MLR pitch, and man, he has been a godsend. And that's just coming off of the bench. He really does change the momentum of the game. Again, knock on wood that RCLA stays healthy, but we have a phenomenal depth now where we can have people like Reese McDonald come off of the bench and make such a difference. The one thing that RFCLA has to watch out for is, of course, allowing teams to score at the very last second. Out of the first 7 games of the season, 5 of them, opponents have scored in the last 10 minutes, and a lot of times that makes the score much closer than it should be. So if RCLA can kind of clean that up and stay healthy, man, they could be sitting, at the number 1 spot for a while. But next week, they do have to face against the Utah Warriors, who have been pretty hot. The whole Western Conference has been tough. There is no easy games in the Western Conference. Even with Seattle kind of floundering, Seattle is not an easy team to beat, especially if you have to play them in Starfire Stadium. So there are no easy games in the West. And again, you see we have a pretty much tough squad right here. San Diego's still a hot team. Houston's very hot. Utah is tough. It's you know, and there's 4 out of the 5 teams are going to make it to the Western Conference. So everybody doesn't want to be that last team. But if LA can continue to do what they're doing, they can stay at number 1 for a good amount of time. But that is our power rankings. Again, I know, I'm going to hear it. So biased, Josh. You obviously, because you work for the team, you're LA native. Of course, you as soon as you get an opportunity, you give LA a shot. But hey, again, they beat the number 1 team at the time in their pitch. No reason why I don't feel they deserve to be number 1. But let me know in the comments below. Let me know why you think that's not true. And again, I mean, if LA wants to stay there, they got their very first big task is this coming weekend against Utah, which, a little spoiler, that could go either way. I can go either way. All right, with that being said, speaking of Pickems, let's talk about this week's SuperBru Pickem and the results. Congratulations to Julie EGW. It's just only a matter of time, Julie. Congratulations. You've been really great so far this season. You get the gold cap for the first time. It was a tough week for everybody. Out of a possible 14.5 points, Julie EGW got the golden cap 5.5. So no one did better than that. No one got more than half. I don't think anybody got all the teams right. So it was a tough week for everybody. Julie GW sits at top with 5.5. Theo God, congratulations, because you've been kind of floundering at the bottom. And KDC coming in second with 5 points. And then 5 people were tied for fourth with 4.5 points, including our leaderboard leader right now, CrossFox, Lady Juliet, Nathan, Harry, and yours truly, Dog Mai. So, and then unfortunately, the wooden spoon is Seawolf Jeep, who's been pretty good, but not good enough for this week. With that being said, let's look at the overall top 5. And CrossFox still sits at top, 40.5. He's increased his lead just a little bit. Moving into number 2 because of this week's results is Nathan with 36.5 points, only 4 points away from the leader CrossFox. Rugby Morning, unfortunately, John slides down a bit, 36.33, so only 17th of a point behind Nathan. Actually, I'm sorry, more 0.17 point behind Nathan. And then Julie EGW, with that win, jumps up 3 spots to 4th, and Sarai, don't know how to pronounce it, is still sitting at number 5 with 33.75. Now, the bottom 5, unfortunately, Sunshine, who I'm always rooting for, has slid back down into the bottom 5, 1 spot at 24.25 points. Leon is at 23.5. Theo God, despite the good results this week, still sits at 26 with 21.5. GMV Rugby behind, and at the end, Melvin Rocker, who I think has pretty much given up, unfortunately, this season. But that's it. That's our results. It's been, again, a great first half. We'll, of course, have a video previewing week number 9, the beginning of the second half. But, yeah, I'm obviously, you can tell I'm pretty happy about the results. But, again, let me know what you think of them in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for checking out my videos, and I'll see you on the pitch.